Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing very, very good. So, till now, we have covered all the concepts, we have covered all the chapters, we have learned what is strategy, what is leadership, how we are going to do the analysis of strategies, how technology is affecting, how internal audits are affecting. Now, but from this batch or this today's lecture, we are going to focus on drafting answers. From today, our main focus would be on drafting answers and focusing on questions. How we are going to read the questions, what should be the strategy of solving the questions, how the answers should be drafted, what should be the format. We would be focusing specially on that. The students who have exam in 1 month, for them this batch is totally exam oriented, right? So in this batch, we would be focusing on questions, and along with that, we would also revise some key concepts wherever required. But now, before starting this batch, you should understand that SBL is not just a subject where you need to write what you just have read, you just have learned and written as is. It is a subject of application. You have to apply all your knowledge and draft answers according to the scenarios. Right. So first you need to understand the basic paper pattern. See, whenever you want to prepare for some paper, the first thing that you should do is to go to previous year or to the CBE platform and go through the question paper and understand what exactly questions are asked, so that you will always have clarity. Okay, I have to study this subject this way. So, before starting question batch, today we will be discussing on what are the various formats we need to focus on, what is the type of paper we are going to read, what is pleasing data, right? We would all be focusing on these things. So now, like our all usual papers, this paper is also of 3 hours 15 minutes, right? I hope everyone knows that, right? It's a 3 hours 15 minutes paper. The marks are 100. But here you need to understand, out of 100 marks, 80 marks are technical marks and 20 marks are professional skills. Now you will ask, what do you mean by professional skills? Don't worry, I will explain them to you. And 80 marks is your technical. So we would also focus on both things. Okay, does this mean that 20 marks separate questions are going to be asked? No. That would be a part of your answers. How you present the answers, how you explain your answers, right? So you would get professional skill marks, and these are very, very important, guys. And you know what is the passing marks for any subject? 50%, right? So you need to score 50 out of 100 to clear this subject. Now, as I told you earlier also, this is a totally case study based subject. The exam format is totally case study. They will give you case study, they will give you exhibits, and then the task. Right. So let's take an example of ABC company. So what they will do is they will give the introduction, nature, business, forecast. Everything about this company will be given to you in a pleasing data. Now, this pleasing data you will receive 2 weeks before exam. Are you understanding? You are going to receive this 2 weeks before exam. Let's say your exam is in March first week, so you will receive it by 17th or 18th of Feb. So now in this pleasing data, you will get a 15-20 pages whole details about the company. So, sir, will all the questions be asked directly from these pages? No, obviously not, right? It is not like our fifth standard or seventh standards paragraph writing. Obviously, on the exam day, what they will give us are some exhibits. Exhibits would be the cases, ki what if this happens, what if that happens in this company. There will be exhibit 1, exhibit 2, exhibit 3, exhibit 4. Generally, there are 3 to 4 exhibits. Okay. So, in the exam, at the start, you have to read all these exhibits. And you also, before reading the exhibit, you also have to read the task. Now, what do you mean by task? Task is actually the questions that you have to solve. So, there will be task 1, task 2, and task 3. Right? So, these are the 3 tasks that you have to solve. Understanding my point? So first what you will do when you will see a question paper, you will first read the task. Okay, these are the 3 tasks I need to solve. Then you will read the exhibits. And the pre-seen data, we will be practicing during this batch. We will be practicing mocks on the basis of pre-seen. So pre-seen data each day we would be reading once we start it. So, and also the pre-seen will also be given in the exam. Now, in exam, we should first read the task and exhibits and then try to answer. So, whatever the task is asked, depending on that, we need to decide which format is to be used, what type of question it is it evaluate, is it discuss. Accordingly, we will make our answer. So in this batch, we would study, okay, when the question asks these specific things, which format we need to use. Then when they ask you, okay, evaluate, then you want to have pros, cons, everything. When they tell you describe, so whatever the question specifies, we will understand how we are going to interpret it in this batch. The main aim of this batch is to clear exams with good marks. Because at the end of the day, after concepts, when we solve questions, it is important to apply our concepts. Knowing concepts is good, but if we are not able to apply, what's the use of knowing? So we would be focusing in this batch to apply our concepts. So generally, there are 3 compulsory tasks. As I discussed, the pre-scene will be released 2 weeks. And the average pass rate, guys, is 50 to 52%. So it's a good percentage, guys. Now, you need to understand that our whole paper is going to be based about a fictitious organization. Whatever company they have given, on that basis, whole paper would be there. There would be task 1, 2, and 3. It would not be section A, section B. Like in SBL or other papers we have part A, part B. No, there would be one case study with multiple tasks. Right? So here, just like we have discussed, the pre-scene will be released 2 weeks before the exam. It will contain background information, history, industry, structure of the company. Exam day we will have additional exhibits, right? Understanding, and from that there will be 3 compulsory tasks. Now, as I already discussed, our 100 marks are divided into 2 parts, guys. One is 80 marks, one is 20 marks. 80 marks depends on the content of your answer, right? Your knowledge, your analysis, your application of models, and technical accuracy. But the 20 marks depends on how you are going to present your answer. Here, what the correct format comes into play, right? How our language is, how we are demonstrating the professional skills. So, this 20 marks depends on how we present our answer. That's why, guys, in this subject, presentation is very, very important. So basically, the conclusion says here, there are no specific marks, extra time, right? Extra time is not allotted for the professional marks. When we are writing our technical answers, we need to take into consideration the correct format and better way of presentation to earn these marks. Now you will ask me, "Ki, sir, what do you mean by professional skills?" Now you understand. See, this subject name itself from the first day I used to tell is strategic business leader. So you have to think as a leader. You don't have to think as a small employee. So think if you are a leader of a company or if you are a higher level management of a company, the most important thing is to communicate things. If you are not able to communicate people, the objectives of your company or anything that you want to communicate, your firm will not grow. So communication is a very important element of any business to grow. And as a leader, communication skill becomes equally important. Right. So while we are communicating, using of the words, like when we have to inform, when we have to clarify, and which report to use, which tone to use, what should be the language to our audience. These all things will give us the full marks for the communication. Understand, guys? These all five skills we will have full marks skill in the exam. Now the next is commercial acumen. Now you need to understand that as a business leader, our main focus should not be on day-to-day activities. Our main focus would be on external factors, big business insights, judgments, what more we can do for the firm, how we can increase sales, how we can reduce cost on the bigger question. So obviously, as a leader, you should have a commercial acumen. At the end of the day, the main objectives of is to earn profit, right? So to make our organization more effective and more commercial, our mindset as a leader should also be that. So how we are showing that awareness that we are facing these external factors and we have that practical judgment that will help us to get marks for commercial acumen. So here, you don't have to write the answer in the exam. You have to write as a reader, thinking, okay, writing it to the examiner, you're writing it to the board of directors, so whoever the question specifies. The question will clearly specify that we are reporting to whom, who we are in that question. We are manager, we are CEO, right? So as a leader, we should first have a good communication. Second, we should have a commercial acumen. Now, third thing, a basic thing for a leader, he should be able to do analysis. See, you need to keep on investigating and examining. Okay, what are the appropriate techniques? What are the relevant models? We have to draw logical conclusions from evidence, right, guys? So this type of analysis is very, very important. So the third point or the third skill that a person should have is he should be able to analyze things and draw logical conclusions. Now comes the fourth point as skepticism. Now you will ask me, sir, what do you mean by skepticism? So the basic meaning of skepticism is questioning mind. Guys, as an auditor or as a leader, every time we see a process, we should think, okay, is there some issue here? Is there some fraud here? Not exactly from a flawed angle, but there should always be a questioning mind. Is everything going right? Can something be changed and made more better? So, these all flow of questions, challenge, information will help to make our organization better. The basic thing about skepticism is we should always have a questioning mind that everything is happening correct. We should not accept everything at face value. We should understand everything and think, okay, biasness. Are we doing this in a neutral basis? And according to we should take decisions. And last but not the least is evaluate. Obviously, guys, there will be multiple perspectives. Let's say you have board of directors, there are 10 directors, everyone will have their various perspectives. There will be arguments. So now we need to evaluate what are the pros, what are the cons, and then we should make a judgment as per recommendation. Or whatever recommendation we get, we should first analyze these are the good things, these are the bad things. And then after evaluation, we should decide whether the decision should be taken or not. So the five professional skills which we would be studying in detail, and I would be telling you specifically how we can obtain these 20 marks, guys, because these are just bonus marks if we write properly. And if we want 50 and we get 15 to 16 here, our half work is done. Understand? So the five skills are communication, commercial acumen, analysis, criticism, and evaluation. Now, many students ask me, sir, how to manage time. So I suggest take your 10 to 15 minutes and start. Read the task, read the exhibits carefully, understand what you have to answer. Just don't start writing without thinking. It's important to have quality answers than quantity. So first you should understand, okay, what are the tasks? Like all exhibits in your paper, what are important points that you can copy. Just copying a whole paragraphs will not give you marks in exam. Now, understand the basic marks. Next, you have 3 hours 15 minutes. Means you have total 195 minutes, right? Out of which 15 minutes I am telling for reading. So now you have 180 minutes, guys, and you have to write 80 marks paper. 20 marks, what I told, it is professional skills. So with 180 minutes, you have to write 80 marks. So for per mark, you have 2.25 minutes. So for a simple exam, solving a 16, you should spend around max 36 minutes, right? For a question, you should take only half. A basic calculation should be there. Obviously, the time is visible on our screen, right? Watches are not allowed. But on the screen, we can see the timer. So we should focus on okay, these are the 30 minutes and I need to finish 15. So solving mock at home would be very, very important. We will also solve mocks on the best on pre-screen, guys. So you must solve it and send me. I will evaluate and give the those who have enrolled for test series. So you need to understand that practicing is very, very important. And when you will practice more, you will understand okay, I in the starting questions it will take 4 hours. Guys. Before 2 hours given in exam time only, and you used to get 4 hours. Now they have started giving it previous and now the exam is of 3 hours. So you can take 4 hours and try at home. Then you can eventually reduce the time. Now, whenever the task asks, guys, read the task and the first word. Is it saying evaluate, discuss, recommend, analyze, assess, advise? Now we would be discuss each thing in detail. So whenever a task says to evaluate things, you need to provide arguments for and against. Does this mean there should be equal points? No. If it is for 10 marks, it can be 8 marks for 4 against, 6 marks for 4 marks for against. Whatever the points that you should write. So whenever the question asks for evaluate, we should see what are the pros, what are the cons, means what are the points that are going against. Accordingly, we should make a judgment. Now you will ask me what is the difference between evaluate and discuss. So in discuss, doesn't ask us specifically कि conclusion should be made. We just need to issue and discuss the issue in detail. We just need to consider and debate the pros and cons in events, but we are also making a judgment. In discuss, we just need to discuss, okay, these are the cons if we do the same, these are the pros if we do the same. So this is the second thing which is discuss. Now third is recommend. When a question recommend, you have to give an action. Let's say there are some 10 risks in the questions given, and they are telling you to recommend the controls that should be there. So now you have to recommend the action and justify why you are recommending this action. Let's say, for example, the cash is getting stolen every day. So now you have added CCTV and security guard in the company. Justifies to securitize the cash. Right? You have and okay, these are the actions that can be taken, these are the actions that cannot be taken. Understood till now, guys? Then the next is analyze. Now, what do you mean by analyze? Let's say you have been given various cases, right? Situation A, situation B, situation C. There are various A, B, C. Now you need A. If I choose this option, then what would be the outcome? Then in situation B, we will examine okay, what would be the outcome. Then we will also examining okay, what is the relation between A and B, B and C. So analyzing is basically breaking down the situation into parts, into components, and then examining relationship and causes. Let's say there was a failure of business. So first we'll break down okay, these are the various reasons. Then we'll see okay, what caused this reason. So this would nothing be or analyze. Now the next is assess. Now what do you mean by assess? Assess means we are basically determining ki, okay, what is significant, what is not significant, or like the value. Ki, let's say okay, this was our profit or this was the value of impact. This was the impact, right? So in the assess, we are just determining the significance or the value or the impact. And last but is advice. In advice, we are giving guidance on what to do, what not to do, and we should always give reasoning. Guys, in this subject, no answers are correct or wrong. According to situations, our answers can change. We don't have to write as it is from books. We have to use the data in the correct format. Right? We have to use the data in correct format and use the current scenario and accordingly frame the answers. So these are the various works. As and when the questions comes, we will again discuss all these things. But you need to remember the question asks to evaluate, we have to write for and against. If the question asks recommend, we have to write actions. Like this, as and when we practice the questions, we will be better equipped to write the answers. Now, guys, we all know you all have given, or if this is your first paper, we have CB software available. Now, which tools of CB software are there in exam? So we will have and then we have presentation style. So specifically for SBL subject, we should write mainly all the answers in our word. Okay, except for the question specifically asked for some calculations and they are very much. If there are small calculations, still we should prefer word first preference. If there are very huge calculations, then using Excel. And presentation would be used when they specifically specify to make some slides. Now, always remember, guys, in presentation also there are two parts. Slide one is our speaker note. I hope you all might have given some presentation or you might have seen. One is the slide which is even visible to the audience, but the speaker note is only visible to the author or the presenter because when he is presenting that slide it is just a small keynotes that he wants to tell the audience which are not literal slides. The slides will only have the keywords. Now, in the question, if they specifically ask to make a slide, then only you will make a slide. So now in the CBU software, all these tools will be available in your exam. And now also you can practice the past papers and the mock test on CBE platform. I would highly recommend, if this is your first paper or even if you have given paper before, you should practice 3 to 4 minimum papers on CBE platform, because you should be able to practice that in 3 hours you are able to complete it. Because if you might have worked on Excel or Word in normal world, but on CBE the shortcuts doesn't work. So you need to focus on the features of CBE and accordingly you are drafting answers. Right, guys? Now we would be starting with discussion of answer format in SBL. This is very, very, very important, guys. We would be discussing what are the various formats in which the answers are to be written. The generally asked. There can be some specific situations or the specific format as per the questions which we would be discussing along with questions. But the generally asked formats are now discussed here below. So now, remember our normal thing कि whenever we are reporting, first of all, the first format which is very, very important is report. Now, a report is a most formal and a structured format, and it is written in third person. It is recommend to, right? It is not like I recommend. So always remember it is most formal and it is third person. And there would be proper heading, subheading, introduction, conclusion in this. Whenever a task requires detailed analysis and final recommendation, we would be using report. So whenever a question or task says if we want a detailed analysis or we want a final recommendation, what we would be doing? We would be using format. Understanding, guys? Now, what is the format of the report? First of all, we will have to. Now, to whom is, let's say, in the task, it would be given, okay, we have to report to board of directors, we have to report to audit committee. So, we have to read the task carefully and understand, okay, this is related to board of directors, this is related to committee. So the two part will get from designation. Now from part, what where we will get from the exhibits, guys, right? There they will tell you ki you are the CFO of company, you are the accounts manager of company, you are in these roles, IT head. So your role as given in the question. Then the date will also be given in this question. Now the subject would be on which they want the recommendation. So from the question requirement, we will take the subject. Now, whenever we write the any report, first we should always give an introduction. Introduction, we should always focus, okay, what this report is focusing on, we will first introduce. Then there would be some main points. So whatever the main points are, we will give the heading and then we will do the detailed analysis. Then we will again give subheading or the second heading and then again we will give detailed analysis. And at the end, then we will give conclusion. So for the report, what would be the format? First there would be to, then there would be from, then there would be date, right? Then there would be we have got the subject, then there would be introduction, main point one, subheading, details, main point two, etc. Same, and then at the end there would be conclusion slash recommendation. Understanding, guys? This is nothing but the report format. This is very, very important. Even the briefing note are slightly related to report format. We will be discussing it below. Hope you have understood, guys, till here. Now, the second format is email. Now, the email is less formal but still a professional, right? The most formal is the report. Email is a bit less formal. It can be from the first person view. Ki, I recommend this. I want this to be done. I have evaluated. Report would be from third person's view. Here we can write in a first person. Now in this also there would be heading, subheading, and it will directly be addressed to the recipient. Again same, it will be to, from, date, subject. Then there would be dear ma'am sir. Then there would be small key this email is all about. Then there would be heading 1, heading 2, and then the best regards. Right? The format is slightly same as to report, but here we can write from the first person view. Here it will be comparatively less format. Right? So first option was report, second option was email. Now the third option is memo. Now what do you mean by memo? Memo is basically a internal communication document. It is generally written to a particular person. It is precise, factual, and leaves little room to interpretation. Means it is very specific to some specific person, guys. Are you understanding or are you not understanding, guys? Means when we are just specifying it to a small person and we are just giving him ki, okay, these are the details. It is not a very formal document. It just gives ki, okay, these are the facts, and then this is similar to email we can say, but there is some like ki, okay, you can interpret it in this way. So basically a memo will again have to, from, date, subject. These are the things common. Then it will just have what are the heading, the content, and they will just give you, okay, if we need any further clarifications, you can contact us, and then we'll just write. It is a bit similar to email, guys, but just this is a memorandum. Now the next is letter. A letter is the most formal written communication, usually sent externally. What do you mean by what are the key rules for letters? In the letters, if the question begins with dear sir, ma'am, it should be yours faithfully. If the letter begins with its dear Mr. and Mrs., it should end with yours sincerely. These are very small, small things, but what it will happen, it will help us to draft our answers well. Right? Now we are just discussing the types of format. Each format we would be studying in details when we are solving questions. We would be drafting questions in class. Right? The key rules are these. Then the format is again a bit similar, but here what it will be your name, company name, and state. We will write our name. Then we will write the recipient's name. Then we will have dear, then the subject, and then again same thing. 20% of the things these formats are always same. We just need to understand okay where we have to use a specific structure, where we have to give headings, where we don't have to give headings. Understand? Now is briefing notes. Now as briefing notes, I already told ki write our first report. But just remember ki in briefing notes we don't need to give conclusions or recommendation unless specifically asked. Unless the question has asked to make conclusions also with briefing note, then only we have to give. Otherwise, no need to give any conclusion or recommendation. It is just informative and factual, right? The recipient can form their own opinion. We are just telling, we are just giving them brief. Okay, happened in, let's say. Now it's on them. Okay, how they are going to interpret it. And then it is shorter and concise than report. Okay, guys. Okay, whatever the report in report we are heading, subheading, then details. In this we will not have that much big things. Here there would be just selected details and there would be no conclusion or recommendation unless asked. Other things will remain same to from that subject introduction heading 1. It would be in thoda short form compared to report. Now the next format is presentation slide with speaker note. As I told you, key understand the slide must contain bullet points only. It should use paragraphs in this slide. Point number one is 7 lines. Point number two, it should just contain bullet points in short. The speaker notes should contain the details, right? And they should be in same sequence. Let's say it is here one, two, three, four. The speaker note should be also one, two, three, four. And in exam also we will have two parts where this should be slide, this should be speaker notes. Like this. This should be slide, this should be speaker note. So key point one, brief and then detailed explanation. Key point two, key point three, key point two explanation, key point two. Same goes with slide two. Now presentation slides will only be created in exam when specifically they have asked to make a presentation slide. In that, in the CB, a specific tool is available for presentation. So we would be practicing that also. When the question comes for slide, how we are going to solve. Now then, there are some formats which are sometimes asked. Not always, but sometimes they might be asked. You should be aware, okay, these are also the formats that can come in exam. So now the next format is a press release. So now see, maybe see the listed companies many times releases a press notice. Okay, this is a clarification on the point, or this was the impact. Let's say there was some important event. After that, they have done a press release. Like in cricket, also after the matches, there is press release, right? So here, basically, the company gives details of a specific events. So the basic format for a press release would be there should be a company name, date, then there would be a subject. Okay, this press release is about this topic. Then they would give the details of name of CEO, whoever has announced it, and then there would be details, right? And then at end there would be contact details for the company. So press release is just to inform the shareholders, customers, all stakeholders, anything which is a material event that is conveyed to all the stakeholders by the company. So if the question asks to make a press release, the format we will follow is this. We will have company name, date, then the subject, and then the details. Now, format 8 is not to rectify. It is just to understand when we have to use some types of thing. When they are asking to make the mapping of stakeholders, classify stakeholders by power and interest. So our mind should click, we have to use Mendeleev's matrix. If the question asks to make portfolio analysis star cash cows, we have to use the BCG matrix. When it asks about internal strengths, external opportunity, we have to use SWOT analysis. So the more questions when we'll practice, we will be able to interrelate. Okay, when the question is asking about internal strengths, weaknesses, external opportunity, we have to think about SWOT analysis. When it is asking about growth strategy options, market penetration, is it market penetration or diversification? The ENSOP matrix. These all we have discussed in concept, but again, while solving questions, we should be able to interrelate it. And there we don't have to write the exact theory. We have to describe it as per the exam scenario. We have to explain ki, okay, what are the strengths in this question for the entity, what are the weakness for the entity, what opportunities it has. We just don't have to write the definitions that we have studied, right? So first we have to draw the matrix, then we have to plot the relevant events, and then we have to give a brief explanation, Like as we discussed about SWOT analysis, so we have to list down what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and then provide explanation. Right? So the visual charts, tables, wherever required, we will have to make it along with our explanation. So it will increase our marks and it will improve our presentation. Understood, guys? So a basic comparison in all these formats is we need to understand key for all the formats are formal, but the report and letter are very formal. Right. Then in this, the report is third person. We are focusing on okay, the company wants to. Email, memo, letter is first person. Whenever we are writing a letter or email or memo, we need to understand ki, okay, we can write ki, I am writing this. I want you to do this, right? In the memo. But whenever we release, all whenever we are giving brief, always remember it is for the third person. Now the structured is, see, report is highly structured, right? We have a very specific structure for report. In the slides, we should remember there should be bullet points. In others, it is a bit structure. Always remember the basic structure for all the formats is more or less similar. We just need to be specific, like in press release, we need to specify the company name, the CEO name who is giving the notes, right? In the slides, we should have bullet points and we should also have speaker notes. Now, conclusion. You should always remember that in report, the conclusion is very, very important. And in exam, report is for sure asked in every exam. So, this format of report you should know by heart. Whenever we solve the exhibits, you will understand ki how much important it is. And whenever we have to report on things, whenever we are making a report, we have to give conclusions. Right, we have to give recommendation. So whenever we have to give analysis and recommendation, we will use report. For internal communication, we can use email or memo. For external communication, we can use letter. Briefing notice to inform decision makers. Slides is for board presentation, press release is for external media. So depending on the use, we will choose which format we have to use in exam. Now some golden rules for answering SBL questions. Point number one, as I am saying, we should first read the requirement very, very carefully. We should understand what is our role. Are we CEO of company? Exactly what is our role? So we should think as that person whenever we are answering. Right? As a CEO, our main objective is with thinking how we can reach our goals or the mission statement of company. It would not be day-to-day activities. So first point, very, very important. In every question, you should identify your role. Second thing, whom you are reporting to. Is it the shareholders? Is it board of directors? What is the audience for these details? So, as per the audience, you can decide. If it is for internal communication, you can use email and memo. If it is for external communication, you can use letter. If you have to give conclusion, you can use report. So, as per the audience and the details required, we will choose the format. And once we choose the format, along with it, we should understand ki which professional skill they are testing. Are they testing communication? Are they testing commercial acumen, skepticism, or other skill? Right? So you need to understand ki first what is your role. Then you need to understand who is your audience. Then you need to understand what is the format and what are the professional skills. The next point is use the correct format. When you will not use the correct format, you will lose professional marks, guys. So choosing the correct format is very, very important. Now you don't have to write the generic textbook answers like okay, this is the bright, these are the advantage, these are the disadvantage. You need to apply it in the scenario, in the organization, its industry, and how it is affecting their business. Just copying pasting large sections from exhibits is not going to give you any marks, guys. The examiner report says you will not get any marks for just copying high sections from exhibits. You will have to interpret how your strategy is or your recommendations are going to be implemented in the company. Always remember, attempting 100 marks is very, very important. This is not a subject, guys, where you will attempt 70 and 80 and you will get 50 marks. You should and you must attempt 100 marks to clear this exam. So for that, writing practice on CB platform is very, very important. You should be habitual of the platform. You should be habitual of the time. You should focus that per mark you should not take more than 2 minutes 25 seconds. And as I always say, the subject's name is SBL. So you should always think as a leader. You are not a student answering a question. You are a senior consultant, right? Or you are an advisor. Depending on whatever the question asks, we should solve the question. And I would also recommend, if you guys have completed ethics and professional skill model, it is very, very good. But if you haven't completed and if you have time, not for the March, but the June people, they should complete it before exam. So it will significantly help them to increase their professional marks. Right, guys? So now, in covering questions from tomorrow, what we would be doing is we would first be solving one question to two questions in each lecture. Right? We would be targeting one to two questions in each lecture. After that, we would be drafting answers for this question, right? We would understand, okay, what are the key points given in preceding data, and then how we are solving. In the starting lectures, it would our target will be to solve the whole question in 2 hours from starting from reading preceding data. Then I would also give you the important case studies for exam. Then once the preceding outcome Once the preceding information is released, we would have a detailed discussion on this preceding. So first we would be practicing around 15 questions in class and some questions keywords of other questions. Then we would also discuss the preceding information and we will solve 3 to 4 mocks relating to preceding, guys. We will try some questions can be asked in exam. Right. So we would have 3 to 4 mock on the preceding for March 26th exam. And for June, we would again have a discussion for preceding of June. Then I would also give you some papers to solve and you will have to solve and mail me those who have taken test series. So I will evaluate them and discuss with you what are the mistakes, improvements, what are the mistakes, what are the improvements, and what are the presentation requirements. Right. And this would be our strategy to aim 70 plus in SBL exam. Trust me, guys, if you practice all papers at home, which I give, and follow all the classes, you will surely pass the SBL exam. If you have any doubts, you can ask to 8888339979. Right? You can contact this on WhatsApp and you can ask your any doubts and I would always solve them. Okay. All the ways, guys. See you in next lecture. From next lecture, we would be starting questions.